Although the video is a little long, in the next few minutes, you will have learned 20 plus idioms. You will come across these idioms and you will be able to use these idioms in not only your workplace, but also in your school or college, and also any language proficiency exam that you take, such as IELTS or TOEFL. Hi, I'm Nilanjan and I warmly welcome you to my channel. So think of the time when you start working at a new company. What happens then? You need to learn how things work in that company. To describe that, you can say that you need to learn the ropes.
A science officer, I need to learn the ropes.
To learn the ropes means to learn the basics of something, to become familiar with what you have to do at the job, to be trained. For example, it may take me a few months to learn the ropes, but at the end of the year, I'm sure you will be satisfied with my performance. Now, while you're working, you will face many difficulties. Oftentimes, you need to think outside the box.
We have to think outside the box.
To think outside the box means to think of creative, unconventional solutions instead of the conventional ones. It means approaching a problem in new, innovative ways. For example, I'm trying to think outside the box to make this event a success. You may also hear the idiom to get the ball rolling. To get the ball rolling means to start something. For example, we need to get the ball rolling on this project. The deadline is in September and it is already August. Now, with respect to product quality, you may have heard the idiom cut corners.
You don't pay people, they cut corners.
To cut corners means to take a shortcut and to find easier and cheaper ways to do something. For example, our competition might cut corners, but we don't. It goes against what we as a company stand for. And similarly, I also don't cut corners. I go through several dictionaries and several legitimate sources to bring you content like this. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon. Now, sometimes you are stuck in traffic and you are perhaps late to work, or maybe somebody else is who is talking about it. And they say, I am running late.
You running late?
To run late means to do things or to arrive in places later than planned. For example, I am running a little late this morning. I don't think I will be able to attend the meeting. Now let's say you are running late, but you reach office and then you see your colleagues out of the building. You ask somebody, why is everybody outside the building? And they tell you, in a nutshell, this is what happened. In a nutshell means simply and quickly, in a few words. For example, in a nutshell, the problem is that we had to move out of the office because we missed out on rent. Now, in budgetary meetings, you are likely to come across the idiom, a ballpark figure. A ballpark figure refers to a rough estimate. For example, we don't know the exact costs, but here is a ballpark figure. Now, let's say there's a meeting going on and your boss briefs you about something. And then she asks you, are we all on the same page?
We're on the same page.
When somebody says on the same page, they mean in agreement about something. So coming back to the previous example, if all of you say yes, then the boss might say, great, we are all on the same page about this campaign. Think of the situation where you and your friend are on the same page. If your friend reads something from that page, you will be able to follow along. Similarly, if two people are on the same page regarding something, they are in agreement about that. Now, in a meeting or outside a meeting, when you are talking to somebody else, you are likely to talk about a win-win situation. A win-win situation is a situation where there is no negative outcome. It is a situation where both parties gain. For example, the merger between the two food companies was a win-win situation all around. The opposite of a win-win situation is a lose-lose situation where no party wins. That is also known as a no-win situation. Win-win situation, lose-lose situation, and no-win situation are terms that you are likely to hear if you study game theory. Sometimes you need to twist somebody's arm in order to reach a win-lose situation.
We find some leverage, twist his arm.
To twist someone's arm means to persuade or convince someone to do something that they do not want to do. For example, I didn't want to acquire the company, but Kakashi twisted my arm. Now, once a company becomes huge, it often corners a market.
Corner the market, then raise the price.
To corner a market means to dominate a particular market. For example, Xiaomi has cornered the market with their new range of affordable flagship smartphones. Now, when you are working, often you have to work by the book, which means to do something strictly according to the rules and protocol. For example, if you are looking for somebody to approve an exception, don't go to Barney. He does everything by the book. Now, whether you are doing something by the book or you are not, you try to clinch the deal. To clinch the deal means to confirm or settle an agreement or a contract. For example, Rahul clinched the deal after offering the clients a huge discount. Instead of saying clinch the deal, you can also say clinch the victory and clinch the game. And by the way, people often mistakenly use cinch instead of clinch. The idiom is clinch the deal. It's not cinch the deal. Now, when you clinch a deal, your boss is likely going to give you a pat on the back.
You all deserve an enormous pat on the back.
To give somebody a pat on the back means to tell that person that they did a good job. For example, the boss gave Ninoy a pat on the back for coming up with such a good idea. Now, when you are trying to clinch a deal, often it happens that your hands are tied. When you say that your hands are tied, it means that you are unable to act freely or that you do not have control over the situation. For example, I wanted to offer them a better deal, but my hands were tied. Or, I would like to raise people's salaries, but my hands are tied. The logic behind this is when your hands are tied, you are unable to move freely. You are unable to do what you want to do. You are unable to, let's say, open a door or close the window. Similarly, in a decision-making context, if your hands are tied, you are unable to take decisions that you want, such as offering somebody a bigger discount. Now, some people are perfect right from the beginning, but some people are diamonds in the rough.
Carlos is a diamond in the rough.
A diamond in the rough is somebody or something that has a lot of potential, but first requires a lot of work, a lot of polish. For example, he was a diamond in the rough. He was intelligent and had great ideas, but his English skills weren't so good. That is, until he subscribed to Nilanchan on YouTube. And that is something that you also should do. Now, when you work in a company for several years, it can get boring. That's when you need a change of pace. A change of pace refers to something that is different from your normal routine or schedule. For example, after working in sales for so many years, Rajesh needed a change of pace, so he requested a transfer to the sales department. You can also use change of pace to talk about going on a vacation or going on a holiday. For example, it's nice to take holidays because it's a change of pace. Now, coming back to meetings, you either have a game plan or you don't have a game plan.
What's the game plan, Kevin?
A game plan refers to a strategy that has been worked out beforehand. For example, we need a solid game plan if we want to corner the market. However, if you don't have a solid game plan, you can use the idiom up in the air. If something is undecided, it is up in the air. For example, we are looking for a test market, but nothing has been decided yet. Everything is still up in the air. Some decisions are rather simple. In that case, we can use the idiom no-brainer. No-brainer. If a decision is really obvious or really easy to make, we say that it's a no-brainer. It means that even a person without a brain will be able to take this decision. For example, taking the new job was a no-brainer. They offered me more money, a better schedule, and more paid vacation days. Now, while interacting with others, sometimes you have to read between the lines.
Can't you read between the lines, man?
To read between the lines means to understand something that has not been said explicitly, that has not been clearly communicated to you. Reading between the lines involves understanding what somebody else is implying or suggesting, but not saying explicitly or directly. For example, reading between the lines, it seems that the company is bracing for a hostile takeover, which means that even though it has not been explicitly stated, the company will be taken over, and we know that. Last semester in my MBA program, I had project management, and the project management teacher used to use this expression a lot, getting something off the ground. You see, at your workplace, your supervisors would often assign new projects to you, as in you would have to lead those new projects, and you would have to get the thing off the ground. To get something off the ground means to start a new project or business. It can be a new project, like a startup perhaps, or it can be an expansion project of a company. For example, we are glad the planning process is over. We are looking forward to getting the project off the ground. Now, when you have a new project, you often have to sacrifice sleep to work. Maybe you start working at 8 o'clock in the morning and work till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. In that case, you can say that you are burning the candle at both ends.
Hey, looks like somebody's burning the candle at both ends.
To burn the candle at both ends means to start working early in the morning and work till late at night and get very little sleep in the process. Now, since I upload 2 to 3 videos every single week on the channel, and I also teach students from all over India, and since I am also pursuing an MBA and also preparing for another exam all at the same time, I'm always busy. And so my friends call me and complain that I don't get time to talk to them. A couple of days ago only, a friend called me and said, "I haven't seen you in a long time. Very busy, huh?" I replied by saying, "Yup, I'm burning the candle at both ends, trying to finish all my work." However, sometimes you don't have to work all day long. You just work late at night, maybe before a big presentation the next day. In that case, you can say that you are burning the midnight oil. To burn the midnight oil means to work till late at night. For example, I have a big presentation tomorrow morning as the senior VP is coming. So I plan to burn the midnight oil tonight. Sometimes things don't go according to plan and we get a tough break. When something unfortunate happens, it can be called a tough break. For example, it was a tough break for us when Deepika quit. She was one of our top performers. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. You get a tough break. And as a result, you are back to square one.
I'm back to square one.
To go back to square one means to start something all over again after a dead end or a failure. For example, if this idea does not work, we will be back to square one. Now, if you have consistently missed your goals and your targets, your boss may offer you a pink slip. Somebody who gets a pink slip has been fired by their employer. For example, management started issuing pink slips yesterday. I received one after so many years of service to the company. You can also use pink slip as a verb, in which case you can say that somebody has been pink slipped. Pink slipped. For example, after teaching for 15 years at that school, I got pink slipped last Monday. By the way, here's a bit of a fun fact. Employees who are issued pink slips sometimes hold pink slip parties, where guests are served pink champagne, pasta in pink sauce, and pink frosted cake. Crazy, right? Now that you have learned these 27 idioms, why not learn 100 most commonly used phrasal verbs? You can do so by clicking on the playlist right here. The link to the same will also be in the description. If this video provided you value and you liked it, then share this video with your friends or anybody you care about. To watch more videos like this, subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you will get notified when I upload new videos. If you have got questions or suggestions, or if you want to share any idiom that you hear a lot at your workplace, let me and your fellow learners know that in the comments. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay safe. Bye.